Sketchnotes are becoming incredibly popular in education, and as a lover of mind maps, I really appreciate how Sketchnotes are an expansion of that. Visual images really do support learning and make content much more memorable. It's also really important to make learning accessible, especially for multilingual learners. But recently, I've seen many AI-generated sketchnotes which were made specifically for EAL or multilingual learners, and I've actually found them quite overwhelming. I didn't know where to start looking because they were just so full. So it makes me wonder, are sketchnotes always easier to understand, or can they actually make learning harder? My name's Jane Maria Harding de Rosa from Enriching English Language Teaching. Sketchnotes are actually linked to three well-established principles. Cognitive load theory, too much information overwhelms the working memory. The signalling principle, what matters needs to stand out. And dual coding, which works best when visuals support the message. Based on these three principles, I generated 3 versions of the same sketchnote. Each one explains the same concepts, but the design is very different. Let's look at them. Here's the first version. At first glance, it looks engaging. There are icons, arrows, headings, colours, everything you might expect in a sketchnote. But notice how much information is competing for attention. There are multiple arrows pointing in different directions, several fonts, very little white space. When we look at something like this, our brain first has to work out where to look. That's actually a form of cognitive work. This is what cognitive load theory is about. The idea is quite simple. Our working memory can only process a limited amount of information at one time. If a page contains too many elements, the brain becomes overloaded. Instead of focusing on the idea, the learner is trying to organise all the information they can see. I then tried a second version that simplified the design, but it still feels quite busy. There are lots of decorative strokes and arrows, and interestingly, the AI-generated version even included some spelling errors. For fluent readers, these might seem minor. For EAL and language learners, spelling patterns are very important for recognising vocabulary. This leads to the next principle from learning design, called signalling. Learners understand information more easily when the structure is clear. Good signalling might include clear headings, logical grouping of ideas, consistent visual cues, and importantly, white space. In the third version, I reduced the design to the basic essentials, just 3 key ideas: cognitive load, signalling, and dual coding. Each one has a simple explanation, there's space between ideas, and the visuals support the text rather than competing with it. This also relates to dual coding. Dual coding suggests that combining words and visuals can strengthen understanding. But this works best when the visuals are simple. If the illustration becomes complicated, the learner has to decode the image itself before they can understand the idea. For learners working in an additional language, this becomes even more important. EAL and multilingual learners are already processing unfamiliar vocabulary, grammatical structures, subject content. If visual materials are dense or confusing, they add extra cognitive load. Instead of helping comprehension, they create another layer of decoding. This is where the idea of signal to noise ratio becomes useful. Signal is the information that supports understanding. Noise is anything that distracts from meaning. Good learning design increases the signal and reduces the noise. So this all connects nicely to the MMM framework, meet, manipulate, make it your own. For learners to really meet the language, the input has to be clear and manageable. Sometimes the most effective materials are simply the clearest ones. Okay, so which version did you find easiest to process? And have you seen any examples of Sketchnotes that could actually make learning harder rather than easier? Let me know in the comments. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share. Thanks. Bye.